Hey, I think this is actually going to be a fun, interesting topic. Of course, I usually feel that way. I want to talk about gods are aliens, or so we think, right? You've seen it many times on Ancient Aliens and whatnot. Many of us have speculated as much long before that came out, even before we had access to internet. There were assumptions that all gods were fallen angels. Some might be angels themselves. Some people equate certain deities with archangels, right? Okay, so I know the last few episodes I've done, I kind of go into dreams that I've had, and this is not going to be too dissimilar. And I'm aware that some people don't really care about that, but I do. So these are really important dreams to me, and I've had deities come to me in dreams that I never knew before. I've literally had them come to me, and realizing who they are is astounding considering that I was raised in a Christian household and did not have access to many of these things. Um, I will probably go over Tyr, Odin, Osiris, and Kephera. And two are Egyptian and two are kind of Nordic Scandinavian deities. And I've had all of them come to me in dreams. And the whole reason why I wanted to start this entire um, series, or I guess I should say episode for now, is this dream I had, which I had just kind of sparked the understanding of who it was. I have to talk to my daughter about it some because she studies these more than I do. And I guess it was a god Tyr. Is the only thing I could put together in my head. I had this dream many years ago. I would say, I don't know, 3 years ago or so. And I was on top of this massive wolf. And it was like I was thrown on top of it. I've had quite a few dreams of wolf-like creatures or things, that have been like trying to get me out of a bad situation, which is strange. In this particular case, it was bigger than I had ever expected before. It was bigger than the spaceship, it seemed, and yet somehow we fit in it, which is strange. I've heard that they are bigger on the inside, which is really bizarre, even though it still didn't look like it to me. And somehow I was thrown on top of this huge wolf. I would say easily like bigger than this house, but it looked real. And everything around looked kind of like post apocalyptic. Everything, the only vibes I can give you is kind of like Terminator, like the old original ones where everything is just like, where the guy's in the future, like that dark, everything's dark, everything is burning, everything is in chaos. And I'm thrown on top of this large wolf, and he's saving me. He's taking me somewhere. And there's this person, it was like a guy to me, that is like basically shooting off the enemy as this wolf dives me into a hole in the ground, and almost like a hole into a mound or something, but it's all rocky, there's no grass, everything is dirt and ugly. And that hole is actually an opening to a spaceship that's kind of buried under the ground. And as this guy is like keeping all of the enemies away and shooting at them, he kind of looks like, again, kind of similar to that energy of like on Terminator, the father that was in the future. It was like this kind of, I want to say, mix between like goth and steampunk, kind of weird post-apocalyptic person, right? With weapon, I don't quite understand it. It was so fast. And when this wolf jumped into the spaceship in this hole, it's like the ground started to quake. They were in a hurry, like a big hurry, ready to get off the planet. And the earth started to quake all around it. The dirt started to rumble off of the ship, and it started to appear out of the ground as it was leaving. And I don't know if he made it in or not in the ship, but I think that was Tyr. And I'm not sure how other people pronounce it. Gabby always says Tyri, so I don't know. Now, I will say that I didn't know who it was or what was going on when I dreamt it. When I first dreamt it, she knew and she told me. And I kind of set it aside for years. But like I had said in the last couple of episodes, the main reason why I wanted to get into ufology and stuff was because in my dreams, um, there's a lot of bad quote unquote alien or extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, that are actually determined to destroy the planet. And we have these peddlers, like let me look at my notes. I know there's that Greer guy, Preston Dennett, or however you say his name. We have that Michael Sandler, and we have Stephen Greer, who are going around telling everyone that they're our saviors and that they're good, and let's basically bow down and worship these guys. And I have always been a dreamer. I am probably meant to be some type of a shaman. If you were to look at a shamanic initiation, I've gone through all of it. Okay. I have the ability to walk and see in between worlds, and I understand that there are so many trickster entities out there. And so, anyway, this dream, it kind of had me for a loop when I went back and looked at it a few days ago. And uh, I think I had Googled something, and that's when Tear popped up, and I was like, whoa, that's him. Like, one of the images or something, it's like I knew, like, that's him. Or when I read this story about him with Fenrir, and I couldn't believe it. Like, it was amazing to me. I don't know. Okay, this is a strange thing because I was looking back, watching a few things, kind of getting ready for this podcast. And I'm really wondering if some of the deities of the Nordic people, the Scandinavian people, which I have a small percentage of blood from there, I have more from the UK, more Irish and Scottish and whatnot. But nonetheless, it still runs in my veins. And so it seems like the deities have reached out to me on more than one occasion. And I wonder if they were trying to stop the like apocalypse that we call it in like Christianity. And the reason why I say that is because you look at how they were kind of the last frontier preventing global domination. And they really fought off and kept down the Roman Empire, which was probably derived originally from the evil Babylonian Empire and has created the monarchy, the British monarchy, that has stolen the birthright of those of us with Scottish and Irish ancestry that can be traced back to ancient Israel. And I feel like these Scandinavian people were actually kind of guided and what would you call it? Like, kind of pressured to fight off this Roman Empire. And the reason why I say that is because that is where the complete destruction of humanity is coming from. And all the dreams that I look at that I've had, they're planning on using America too. When you have these people saying in the Tia Uba prophecy that, oh, they stopped Germany from getting the atomic bomb. I saw in my dream where they had the conversation in Germany before it probably was even what it is today. Like in the 1700s, they had already decided that they weren't going to have it or when it was going to be had. And they needed us to be ready to self-destruct. I've had the dream of the same like being that I have at the end of, I think I have an image of him, kind of like an AI generated image of closest thing I could get to what he looked like at the end of my first podcast that I'm putting on Spotify and things too. Um, he was at the front of the ships when he wanted our founding fathers to make it to North America and to use this country. I've had dreams where they showed me exactly how and why the Union had to win the Civil War because it needed America to be a world power. It needed America to guide the way towards basically destruction of humanity. And I feel like the Nordic gods were actually trying to prevent that and they lost. And I feel like losing kind of made them go silent for a while. But they're kind of rising again. Many of the ancients throughout history, all the way back to Enoch, are rising again. And if you look at the Scandinavian stories of Midgard, it sounds very similar to the way Enoch described the earth as well. And I will also say that I had another dream very recently, right when I was first starting to work on that first podcast for all of this. And it was a spaceship shaped like Tyr's rune. And it was above us, and um, it released these smaller ships. And they kind of looked like runes, but I couldn't quite place what they were. And on the ship, it's weird because as it came down, it was almost like you couldn't see the ship anymore. Like it was an orb clear. There's all these seats, and there was just kind of what looked similar to like an alien gray, except it was solid white. And some people say they can't make expressions, but oh my God, did this thing make expressions? I was weird. I was in this room full of people, yet it felt outside too. And someone was teaching us something, similar like say driver's ed to learn how to drive a bus or something crazy. And it was weird as the teacher was Hopper from Stranger Things. This is how weird my dreams are. So y'all can laugh away. I don't care. Symbolism is important. So anyway, when that alien came down, I squeezed its eyes in a really smart a way, and he looked at everyone and he said, or no, first, a lot of us were put on the little ship. I was one of them that you're just buckled in, right? And he looked at everyone else who wasn't, and he squeezed his eyes and he looked at them. And of course, he didn't say it with his mouth literally, but he telepathically said, "You aren't ready yet." And he said it almost like you're not good enough, right? And almost spiteful, vindictive. But then when I turned around and looked, you saw all of their sins, so to speak. Like you could see people literally about to have sex or about to drink, get really drunk, or people that have like gambling addictions. Like you could see all of their secret sins. I don't know how to explain it, but you could. And because they had all these addictions, these flesh addictions, they were not allowed to basically level up. And those of us who they thought were worthy were taken up to this ship. And then I was going to be taken into some room, and I don't remember anything else. But it was a really bizarre dream because of that rune and understanding how much more our ancient deities are probably, aliens, or extraterrestrials or one and the same. There's so many people that say that, they're obviously one and the same. And it's just hard for us to understand the in between. And I think that's because there is a lot of deception going on. I think that there is a lot that we just can't quite understand or fathom yet as well. And okay, this is what's weird. If I start getting into some of the, I don't even want to get into the Odin dreams much because, okay, first off, I'd have to find one of them because I don't remember it. I wrote it down. The other one, he legit came to me in a dream, and I know he basically banged me. I don't remember it. I just remember he came and got into my bed, and I don't know what happened. And then I watched him walk away. I never saw his face, but I knew it was him. I saw him from behind, and his hair was kind of like just down past his neck, the nape of his neck. And he had on like I don't know, a lighter color shirt and darker pants, but it was loose, and it was definitely not from this time period. Really strange. And then when I looked at the date, I found out it was Beltane, which is the date when like the Celts and things have fertility rites and they're all doing it. And I know there's a Scandinavian version of that too. Um, but the name is strange. That was extremely bizarre. I'm like, what does he do? Do these deities just go around picking random maidens to like bang because it's Beltane or something? I thought that was really, really odd. And I don't know if I liked it too much. Like I felt like I was taken advantage of because I don't even remember anything. I don't even know if I want like a hypnotism or regression for that one because that was strange. Because that was one of those dreams where I didn't just feel like a dream, like lucid dreaming. Like literally, my soul watched him walk out the bedroom, out the back door. So that was really weird. I will say that the Egyptian ones, I really think that there is still a really strong ongoing presence of our world leaders communicating and using the Egyptian deities. I don't know why. I just do. I just see it everywhere. Um, like what was it? Let me see if I can find it. The Pharaoh's Golden Parade. It's so weird that they had like a train of those pharaohs, and even the things they were holding look so similar to flying saucers. And that was on 4/3/21, according to the time in Gaza, right? And the next, well, it was that night for us because we heard about it that morning. And that night, when we went outside around 9 or 10, it would be 4 their time, around 5 or 6 a.m. But for us, it was about 10 p.m., 9 p.m., I don't know, somewhere in there. And me and my son saw this long train of golden lights, which, I was thinking maybe that's just SpaceX, right? It was weird because usually when you see SpaceX, they're closer together. Like you'll see kind of like 2 or 3 closer together and little gap, 2 or 3 closer together, little gap. This was not like that. They were spaced out, um, very spaced out, and they were golden, and they were coming from the north. And I just thought it was odd because I want to say north. I want to say northeast, but I don't know. It's hard. I feel like it was northeast going southwest, but there's probably over 20 of them. Okay. And it's odd because there were 22 mummies that were moved. And the reason why I think that's bizarre is because I've tried to find a SpaceX or any satellite train that was moving on that date that was still that close, that was like in orbit, looked like it was going into space. And I can't. There was some reports of people seeing them on the 7th of April, which is 3 days after we saw it. There's several reports of it in Texas and also in Arkansas, but none on the 4th, anywhere at all. And what's even crazier is like, it's not even listed as one of SpaceX launch dates, not even close. So I don't know what that was, but I was like, whoa, what if that's like their souls leaving the planet? Like, what if they move the mummies and they're literally having their souls, like they're sending it back to their home planet or something? It's just a silly thought, I know, but it's still possible. And where it was coming from, I was like, then they're probably leaving more likely from Berlin or somewhere in Britain, because we all know that they have a deep, deep history with stealing stuff from Egypt. So I don't know. It's a really odd thing. I will say, I'm not going to go over really the Osiris dreams because I've gone over those in another podcast. But I will say I have not gone over the Kephera ones, which really creeped me out because I didn't even know who Kephera was, right? The beetle-headed god. But in those dreams, it's almost always the same. They open a tomb that they shouldn't, and this huge bright light comes out of it, and there's this very, very, very angry spirit, and the whisper is Kephera, and he's angry because they woke him up, and now he's going to go wreak havoc and kill all of the troublemakers in the world. I've had that dream 2 or 3 times. It's like a recurring dream. It kind of changes every time a little bit. And what's weird about that one is every time they open like a new tomb, like they find a big new tomb or something and they open it, I'm always like freaking out, like, oh God, you don't want to do that. You don't have to do that. Who knows what's going to come out of there? And it doesn't mean that like they see it. It could be an invisible force that comes out for vengeance. It may have already come out of one of those, and that's wreaking havoc everywhere for all we know. I mean, look at any of the past ones that have been open in the last few years and then see what happened right after. It makes you wonder. I mean, I think there was one open at the end of 2019. Am I wrong? I don't know. Okay. Oh, this is what I think is really strange too. Okay. Odin is like kind of known as Mercury. Mercury is also in correlation to Gabriel. And Tyr is oftentimes forgotten, and he was probably the chief god before Odin. And then they decided to make him Odin's son, which is probably not factual. In reality, Odin was afraid of Tyr kind of usurping him, so he kind of set things up to take over, and he's more of a I don't want to say mischievous. I know they say this more like Loki, but like Odin's kind of sneaky and conniving, and like he'll do anything for wisdom and knowledge, even if it means sacrificing himself for others. And Tyr is more a straightforward, honest, um, ride or die, he won't back down, but also like doesn't. I feel like if you could say neurodivergent, he would not understand the games, the mind games that Odin plays or that people play. It's all or nothing with him. And the reason why I think it's strange is because like Odin is known as Mercury, and also Mercury is known as Gabriel. And sometimes people mix these up, like Biddy Tarot mixed these up, which was strange, or whoever was a guest post in her website. But most people would correlate temperance with Michael and judgment with Gabriel, which to me, I feel like both of those are slightly inaccurate, except that would make more sense if you looked at Tyr as temperance and that he cared about justice and balance. And judgment kind of makes sense that Odin would have to do with judgment. Um, it's strange. People, it's so weird because if you were just a typical Christian and you didn't read the Book of Enoch, or you didn't read all of the other texts out there and belief systems out there, they just equate Gabriel with the nice little angel that announced Jesus, and Michael's going to come and save us at the end of time. But if you look at so many other faiths and whatnot, like there is a lot of movies out there that make Gabriel a by your stairway into heaven type of angel. You have it in the prophecy movies, you have it in Constantine, and those are movies I just like literally watched over and over again because prophecy's so outdated now, but I wish they would make more like that. They're pretty interesting. But why do they always make Gabriel an angel that judges so harshly and thinks that humans are not good enough or not worthy? And I don't want to go off too far on a limb and get myself in trouble because you know how people are so thin skinned in religions. But that's apparently kind of like the angel that represents Islam now, and um, who Muhammad claimed talked to him, right? Even though if you read the Quran, it's a bunch of we and us, not one angel speaking. And Michael is kind of known as the kind of patron angel of Jerusalem or Israel or what have you. So it's kind of like they're like enemies, it seems like, in a way. And uh, what's strange is it's kind of like Jesus came here and he said, look, all of your sins can be forgiven. Everything is good if you just learn how to go within, find that kingdom within, invoke your maker and become one with him, and you'll find the way, you'll find the truth, you'll find the light. And of course everyone instead tried to make him a new deity and worship him. And it seemed like somewhere along that way, I do think there was a second wave of angels that fell when Christ came and did what he did because they couldn't understand, just like in Enoch, they couldn't understand why humans could be forgiven, but they couldn't. I think a huge wave of angels fell. There is even a Bible verse that says even angels long to look into the mysteries of Christ and don't fully understand it. I think some of them did fall because they were really upset that people were getting a get out of jail free card. So it seemed, which obviously that's not exactly how it works. Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's why Gabriel is considered like harsh, even though you would always think that he was like a typical Christian would see him as nice and fluffy, and Michael as the one that's harsh. And so also Tyr is like famous for his sword, and they like to put his rune on their swords. Michael with his sword is a big deal, and both of them are equated with the sun. Of course, Tyr is also equated with Mars. So it makes you wonder if they are one and the same, or if it's not just humans trying to interpret these beings and give them a name. They could be the same, maybe they're not. Maybe they're very different beings. Maybe Michael and Gabriel have nothing to do with Tyr and Odin, right? I do think in the tarot, though, I see Michael's energy a lot more in the strength card and in the sun. And I see Gabriel actually a lot more in the death card, which is strange, but I just do. A lot of people have equated Gabriel with angel of death too, which does make you wonder. They didn't say what the angel of death's name was in the Old Testament when they had marked things with blood. So, um, I know there must be a correlation with these gods and these entities, and it's very possible that they are what we would call aliens. Oh, let me see here. Sorry, I'm just kind of peeking just to make sure with my notes. I know I say this all the time, but I'm checking my notes and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I know I tried to watch that Ancient Aliens episode where they were saying the Ravens were spy drones and all of their tools, like Thor's tools. They only went over the most mainstream gods because you know how generic Ancient Aliens is. But they went over all their tools as probably being like alien technology, which you really can't argue with too much, but it's a cool, interesting thought. At least it's weird how it's hard to get certain people's minds wrapped around the spiritual, but they can wrap around the technology part. And I sometimes think like they're rebranding, like some people say they're doing it out of um, deception, which I agree, but I also think they could be doing it partly because of the need to get people to just believe. I mean, it's easier for people to believe in technology, and it's a huge thing for me. And why, like, when people claim that aliens are going to be our saviors, why I have a huge problem with it is because technology has done nothing but destroy us. So there's conveniences that we have. We love our music and different things, but we love our air conditioning. But our technology is destructive. It isn't natural. What we've done with it isn't natural. It's wasteful. And we've moved too fast in all the wrong ways, which also makes me feel like there is new waves of fallen angels introducing technology we shouldn't have. In the ancient days of Enoch, it was, oh, we learned how to make swords and we learned how to braid hair and do makeup and blah, blah, blah. But now look at the stuff that we have. It is so bad for us, the earth, the environment, and it makes it so much easier for our overlords to control everything that we do. We have to spend most of our lives slaving away so that we can make money for corporations, and we hardly have time to do what we were meant to do as humans. Everything we were meant to do. I mean, I feel like we were meant to be here to literally live in the present moment and to get to know every animal and plant when we go outside. And we were meant to identify with it both spiritually and scientifically. And we were meant to make food from scratch. And, have you ever taken the time to cook food and hold it in your hands, whole foods? It's an amazing experience. It's not just the act of eating, it's the act of harvesting the food and washing it and preparing it. That is such a sacred act that we're losing our way. Sacred medicine. Oh, I can't get over the medicine in my own backyard. I have like lady's thumbs and frost aster and goldenrod and knotweed. And I mean, I could go on and on and on about how much medicine is in my backyard that people just don't even recognize as medicine. And we've lost our way. And I don't think this technology is good. And I think that we were meant to have it, but I think we were meant to have it through shamanism, not religion, but through shamanism, where we go within and we walk the world and we slowly piece it together bit by bit, not in a rush for selfish gain. But there are so many evil people out there that will do whatever it takes to keep making money, and they will continue to conjure these evil entities and fallen angels to get as much milk every bit of profit that they can before they destroy this planet, which is heartbreaking to me. I mean, how is SpaceX even legal? It's disgusting. The trash, this junky trash that is not even made to be in orbit more than like 5 years, it's nasty. And he's putting out more every day. How does he have the legal right to do that? When is anyone going to do anything to stop that? It's nasty. It's so trashy. It's white trash is what it is. Elon Musk is white trash to me, okay? I don't care how rich he is. If he's going to keep putting this technological junk in the atmosphere, it's nasty. And I'm ashamed to be a human sometimes because of how far off we've gone from the spiritual path. Oh, that is one thing I think is strange too. Like earning versus receiving. Sometimes the angel Gabriel is kind of kind of represented by you need to earn your path. And then Michael is protecting the weaknesses of us where we just receive from the spirit. And it does make you wonder, if Odin and Tyr are not kind of still kind of butting heads per se. I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm just I'm looking at notes, so give me a moment. Oh, I know. Okay. So I know I've mentioned before in past things about how like I've had dreams where I literally see these entities talking about mining the earth and then destroying it as soon as they've gotten everything off the earth that they can. And I mean, I've had more than one dream of literal like wars where there's various different types of entities and they do look strange. They don't all look human and they're all fighting over resources of this planet. And some of them are picking up humans for slaves, some of them are picking up humans to save them. And it's hard to know what's what. For us to have this idea that aliens are all good or all bad or ETs are all good or all bad is probably a dangerous concept. And I know you have people like Greer peddling like these apps. He's okay, he from what I've heard, he has a history of taking donations for disclosure and buying like lavish properties and real estate and basically spoiling and pampering himself, okay? And he's like, you can talk to aliens, buy my app, right? And I'm thinking, here's the thing. He once says, from what I heard on that Michael Sandler's Inspire Nation, which I think Michael Sandler is a very dangerous person too. And he seems like he means well, but he just absolutely refuses to face reality. He has that idea too that all aliens are good and there's no such thing as bad. And that's so dangerous. And when he's harming people. And it's like, and all of his titles are like fear based, like clickbait. And then it's like, I'm not trying to make you afraid, but let's make this positive. But. And it's working. Hundreds of thousands of gullible idiots out there clicking on it. And all of these desperate, lonely people channeling Bashar and Theo and Abraham. And I'm sorry, but they're not channeling genuine ascended masters or good things. Listen to them. Some of these people sound like they're appropriating mentally handicapped beings going, yeah, I need to say why humans only focus on the bad. And I'm like, you are literally, I hope some mother sues you who has a child that has a hard time forming words. I hope she sues your ass for appropriation and basically being like a hateful psychopath, literally profiting off of that. These so-called channels repeat the same stuff over and over again. They regurgitate the same things. It's very generic. They repeat the same phrases over and over again. And it's the same song and dance. And the same thing that Greer peddles, the same thing that that other guy peddles. Who is it? That Dennett guy. Aliens have come to save the day. And they're all that is good. And we're all that is bad. And we focus on all this wrong, and we're very, very negative people. We deserve to be slapped in the wrist. Bad, bad, shame, shame. But don't feel bad, bad, shame, shame, because then you're being negative. So you must be positive. Even though you're a negative human, we need you to be positive for us now. And we need you to save the earth from war and pollution. And you're doing all this bad, bad, bad stuff. And we're going to come save the day because we're not giving you guys disgusting, destructive technology like Phil Schneider said. We're giving you the good stuff, only the good stuff. Yes, yes, our technology is actually saving the earth. Ha! You know them by their fruit, guys. And all they're doing is the typical narcissistic gaslighting, manipulation, and blame shifting, making humans responsible for what we can't do. We are enslaved right now, whether we want to admit it or not. We are enslaved by the elites. We don't have a choice. We don't have the freedom. We don't have the freedom we were meant to be here to do. We can't just go out and build a nice cottage and live free. Our freedom has been stripped from us. We don't have it. We are forced to pay the tax man. We are forced to live on property that is registered. We are forced to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. If these things really cared about the planet, it's like, who was it? Strange Recon had a really valid point when he said, where were they when when our men hit Japan? Like, are they racist? Do they not like the Japanese people? But they can shut down all the nuclear weapons when they want to, but they didn't for them. Hmm, makes you wonder, right? But it's not just that. It's like, why are they not going after, our presidents, our world leaders, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Bezos, all the rich fanatics out there, the Elon Musk? Why are they not going at them and calling them out and making them change? Because no matter how hard we try, the amount of times I have been ripped off by corporations in 1 month is astounding. Every time I turn around, whether it's my phone company or this or that or this or that, it's like they find ways to literally charge you $25, $50 for something random that they don't have the right to claim, and they take it from you. Or you buy something from a store and it breaks on you within a week. I mean, these corporations are sucking us dry like vampires, and we are left destitute and wanting and not able to do much about it. But it seems like these toxic positive people can peddle themselves enough to roll in the dough, and yet they don't help anyone. It's like, well, if I helped you, I'd be enabling you. So I need you to just stay starving and dying and, being trafficked, because I'm going to spend my money and I'm going to manifest a Mercedes and a mansion because I'm showing you the way. This is the way, the truth, and the life of a toxic positive guru. But they won't lift a finger to help anyone else. They don't sound any different than the Pharisees of old, right? Okay. Now, what bothers me about this, though, is that we really do need to care about pollution and more, but there's not a lot that we can do on our own. And when you have these peddlers, these toxic positive people profiteering off of blame shifting onto the common man and putting a heavy burden on us that we cannot bear, it actually makes things worse because too many people are listening to these. These are the ones getting the most traction because this is the narrative that they want us to have. Oh, yeah, Grush is a freaking patsy too. There's no effing way he's a legit whistleblower. He's too chill and laid back. There's no freaking way. And it's like other people have said, he's an actor. He is a freaking actor. Okay. And anyone who begs to differ, go ahead. So a lot of you guys trusted Trump a few years ago and now you don't. They're setting him up to look like he has opposition because all the hard-headed, rebellious types out there, like alt-right people and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I've kind of been in that a little bit, because I've always been like a libertarian, more agorist now. I had to kind of like unattach to anybody involved in the alt right because of some of the things they do are just so dangerous. Even for me, some of the things that they do are very dangerous for us as women, even. But they're not going to respond as well unless they make Grush look a little bit antagonistic. But yeah, no, he's not. He's not a freaking whistleblower. I'm sorry. Or they would have suicided him like everybody else. He's exactly what they want. He's vague. He's getting paid. He's rolling in the dough. He's probably got so many bitches, that they give him behind closed doors, even with his pot belly and stuff that just kind of sags when he does his, I don't know, it's just gross. I will say that anyone who believes that, it's like you could see even like Trump was designed, he was destined to be president when he was. It was obvious, okay? The media could not get their eyes off of him, even before the primaries. And like I mentioned in a video months ago, maybe a year ago when I first started my YouTube channel, um, my son had already dreamt that Hillary Clinton put a crown on him. And I knew my son was a dreamer. We knew he was going to win, and we knew that Hillary was going to let him because it was destined. There's no way in hell that the conservatives and the right would have ever allowed the pandemic to happen the way that it did if a Democrat was president. But because Trump fast tracked the vaccine and because he was the one who did the shutdowns and basically spent my great 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 grandchildren's inheritance for these shutdowns and destroying middle class even further, all of the right kept justifying it, going, oh, well, he's doing the best he can. The left are just pressuring him. Come on. If it was anybody else, they would have literally revolted. And the elites knew it. They needed him to take the fall for that. That's all they used him for. Now he's done and over, and there's nothing that he can do about it. And I don't even know if he even knows that they used him this whole time. He might have actually been dumb enough to believe it, like to think that this was like organic. I don't know. Who knows? But I do think Grush is a patsy. And, if I'm wrong, good. I love being wrong sometimes. It's cool. It's like I've said before, I don't have that neurotypical need to be right. But that is part of kind of where I'm getting to when it comes to we need to test these aliens. Like, you have to test the spirits. You don't just believe they're all good. And I've learned that the hard way because I've been neurodivergent my whole life, but I grew up with parents who were in denial. And of course, you can't partly blame them because that was not common to recognize it in women. We did have a very kind of misogynistic system where they only studied autism and whatnot in males and white males at that. And so it was a lot harder to recognize these traits in women, which has made life very, very difficult for me. And executive function, it's not that it's hard for me, it's when I know it's wrong. Like when I know that the insurance companies are ripping us off. And I mean, you look at this, what is it? Floridians are fleeing Florida because insurance is going up like 900%. They won't freaking fix the roof. It's been over. Go watch some of this stuff. It'll take them over 9 months to even look at thinking of fixing a roof from the last hurricane. They're doing it to me. I mean, they still haven't fixed mine from damage I got from a bad storm this spring. And when you know that these crooks are wrong, it's like my whole spirit, my whole body wants to reject dealing with them. A normal person would go, okay, so they suck, but I'm going to deal with this. Anything that I know I have to deal with that I know that is an injustice, it's like my whole body kind of like fights it. And I can just stay chronically sick if I don't take time out to kind of like recenter. And no, you can't call me some kind of SJW or anything. I'm freaking 42, okay? I've always been this way. I've never understood this modern way of living my whole life. I've always just wanted to live naturally in the country like a heathen, okay? And not that I like country podunk people. As you can see, I love studying these types of things. I think technology can be wonderful. I mean, I do. I love researching like crazy. So it's nice that you can have it at your fingertips since libraries can be so limited. But I feel like we need to slow down on the technology, backtrack a lot, correct all of the mistakes the elites have made for profit. And technology should be probably 10% of who we are, and 90% should be natural. The same thing with government. It should have 10% of the power that it does, and 90% should be like self-governing. I really think we need to get back to the where we have like local clans, and every clan kind of has its own rules and laws because it's a lot easier to maintain sovereignty that way. We should not have massive world leaders the way that we do. They're dangerous for us. And I do think that there are some deities, some gods, some aliens, entities that also feel the way I do. And I feel like they're fighting these other entities that want to have global domination and destroy the earth. And what's crazy is the elites in this world, they actually think that they're going to get away with it. They actually think they're going to hop some spaceship and leave. But they don't get it. These entities are using them too. You can't dance with the devil and not get burned. You can't pretend that everything's going to be okay. They don't care about them. They don't. They don't care about the elites in this in this country, in this world at all whatsoever. They're just using them. They always have. And so once they're done with this earth, they're going to be blown up too, and it's going to be hilarious when they soil their undies when they realize that they're no longer invincible. And I can't wait. I really can't wait. Um I've always felt that way. But I do really feel like it is vital that we test these entities. And anyone who claims that they're all good is obviously making money off of claiming that. And you need to question what's going on behind closed doors with them. What are their values? What are they up to? What in God's green earth gives them the right to claim that all of these things are good? Greer goes so far as to say all bad alien encounters are really created by humans. This guy is off the chains, crazy psycho in his accusations. I mean, you look at what Phil Schneider said and did. Dude, he was suicided. I'm sorry. I'm totally buying what he said over what Greer says or Grush any day of the week. Any day of the week. And I'm not sure who it was. I could be wrong with this one, but I really want to get more into the whole, some of the things that Chris O'Brien said. And it's so weird because I know he's even said that he's kind of like a left person. And it's hard I don't think he likes the government though, because that's hard for me. It's hard for me to see like these days, if you say you're left wing, kind of is associated with like very pro big government. But I think there's more and more people that are more left leaning that are still not pro government. And I guess I would be more along that line because, emotionally speaking, I agree with a lot of values on the left, but I don't agree with the big government part. I believe in very, very small to no government. I'm an agorist. Like I said, I just can't buy into allowing like something to control me. It's just I can't handle it. It's very difficult adulthood for me to have to constantly walk the line of those that have no love and no light in their heart. It's coercion and it's wrong. Um Trying to see if there's any notes I'm missing before I wrap things up because I am like um actually like almost done earlier than some of the other nights, which I guess is a good thing. I am tired today. It's like Shark Week. I need to play that Finding Nemo quote like song. It's instead of like Shark Bait, Shark Week. Yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything, which is amazing. I'm so and I know a lot of people are not going to um you know, resonate with me bringing the dreams out. But I feel like I need to because I'm piecing this stuff together. I understand that the long term, looking at all these things pieced together, mean a lot. And those of us who are more of the animist and spiritual mystics, we have a lot to offer from what we see in between the worlds. And so many people only want, well, give us proof, give us proof, give us proof. And it's like, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to be right. We're trying to put the pieces together. And in that process, we have the ability to look at each other's notes, look at each other's experiences, and look who is being authentic and who is not. And I think it's vital that those of us that have spiritual gifts keep putting them out there. I don't have a following or anything. And it's so frustrating. Like those of you normies out there who continue to use Facebook and stuff, like thanks a lot because I feel like you're pushing us to use Facebook and Instagram and I don't want to. It's not fair to us because it is so controlled and it is so breeds narcissism. And I was miserable when I had it. And it's not right. It really isn't. But you people are just determined, to sell out. I mean, so many people sell out day in and day out. And most of your Facebook friends don't care about you. They never have. They just care about you making them look good. And that's the way it goes. And it's just so many places and things. It's like either you have to pay to be a member or join our Facebook group. And it's like, I get it that some people have to pay, to keep their website up and stuff. Totally get all of that. But whenever everyone does their Facebook groups, instead of somewhere else, there are other platforms out there that could be used that have more freedom. But people refuse to do it because they want to do what's easy. What's easy is not always right. And I'm kind of fed up with it. I'm fed up with the peoples. I love animals and nature. Can you not tell that I am neurodivergent? Um, I do hope that there is more people coming out and speaking the truth and speaking on testing these entities and not just believing that they're all good. And that's going to be an uphill battle because the toxic positive movement is becoming so overwhelming. And they do it by guilting and shaming people. People are like desperate and longing to be guilted and shamed into everything. It's how they live. It's why religion works so well. And, with the Aries North Node, hopefully some people will snap out of it. But it's going to take a lot of pain and struggle. This next eclipse might help. People have got to get out of their mold and quit. They think that, these prosperity gurus are helping them, but really they consistently guilt them. I've even listened to like Louis Hay and stuff. And it's like they'll talk and talk and talk, and eventually they'll throw these things in there, these wrenches that's like cutting you down, but it's so narcissistic and so smooth that you won't recognize it if you were raised by any type of narcissistic parents, if you were ever the scapegoat, if you were ever um, a people pleaser. Okay, you're going to sit here and kiss ass over and over again, and you're going to constantly cater to these people and guilted into giving them money because one day you might get rich like them by osmosis if you keep following them. It's awful. And these are the same people claiming that aliens are all good, which is so freaking dangerous. I'm sorry. I keep saying it, maybe that's why I'm not ever going to get more than like 10 impressions on my YouTube video where it literally is like shadow banned because it's not the narrative. It's not what people want to hear. If I was to say, um, what is it? Like my dad would listen to this preacher who is such an idiot, this John Hagee guy. And like when I realized he was how dumb he truly was, which is already obvious he's an idiot, but like he tried to say immaculate conception can't be possible because Mary is a sinner and her blood is going to be running in Jesus's blood. So there's no way it could be immaculate because she's a sinner. And it was like, you don't even know anatomy, you dingus. Like, are you effing kidding me? You think her blood is running through his blood? Like he doesn't even know how a fetus develops. That's how stupid he is. But my dad buys into his like, rapture prosperity stuff. And how many of you guys really, really want to see this like me? All the people that believe in the rapture and all the toxic positive people that want to get zapped away is all going to be in like spaceships and stuff. And it's going to be like, sayonara, bitches. You're going to be a human slave on some freaking planet. Have fun with that. Like, you thought you were going to get out of jail free. That's just ridiculous. And if you were a Christian, you would see it says you can't. Like, you have to make it through the tribulation. And blessed are those who don't faint. And it goes into detail in the Old Testament that those who preach peace and safety are going to be basically put through the ringer because it's a lie. None of us are here to skirt pain and suffering. This is why indigenous cultures, animistic cultures, ancient cultures need to be brought back to the forefront because they're going to be able to guide you through pain and suffering better than religion and toxic positivity ever could. They show you how to navigate this pain and suffering the right way. And I really want all of us to encourage people to rise them back up. I won't stop talking about that. We need them. We need the native indigenous cultures of the Americas, of Australia, of the Scandinavian and the Celtic countries. We need us all to rise back up and rejuvenate our ancient ways where we can navigate these trickster spirits, these entities that some are good, some are bad, some are not either. I actually do think that there are some angels that think that they are still holy, but they're not. They don't even realize they've fallen because they've cut communication with God so long ago because they pretend to be God. And they think they know what's best for us and they're constantly guilting us too. And they are constantly trying to force us into this ideology that they have. And that could even be what these toxic positive people are channeling. It could be some of them may be on purpose deceptive fallen angels or entities that are evil, but some of them may not even realize that they've fallen because they're so narcissistic and they so think that their way is the only way. And they think that guilting and shaming us and whipping us into compliance is the way, and it's not. And so I really do wonder sometimes if that isn't part of the labyrinth of lies that we have to navigate. And I've written a lot of poems about that over the years. It's really important that you remember that there is a labyrinth of lies all around us by these beings, and anyone who claims they're all good is full of baloney. And I know I like to say that, I like to approach this from a pondering and not that I know everything. And I like being wrong, but I will say that I really, with conviction, believe that there's many beings out there that are not good at all whatsoever. And some we think they are, but they aren't. And, my thoughts may change over time. Who knows? But I will say that we have to learn how to be recentered. We have to learn how to go within and connect with source, connect with that kingdom inside of us so that we can navigate this insanity because we are consistently being fed lies. We are consistently being put on paths that are lies. And the only way we can navigate the distractions, it's so crazy because if you go to tarot and look at the Seven of Cups, to me that is the great trickster um card. It's what you want to call Satan or Lucifer does. And so many people argue over, well, Satan and Lucifer aren't real names and blah blah. They're both basically terms. Lucifer is a light bearer, and people say, well, yeah, but that wasn't really in the Bible and blah blah blah. They have all these things. Okay, look, false light, let's put it that way. When you see Lucifer, hear Lucifer, just think of false light. Lucy, I call him Lucy, just like on Supernatural. Like anytime the internet acts up because as so many people talk about the ghost in the machine that's going to be, the evil one, the Antichrist that gets into AI and gets into like the internet and everything. So anytime my internet and Google gives me hell, I just am like, not today, Lucy, not today. Or wow, Lucy's really upset today, huh? Just really moody, I guess, because I'm having a good day. So I always refer to it as Lucy. But Satan really kind of means, at least in the Book of Enoch, from what I have, says it means adversary. So it's like they're very generic terms, okay? But like Lucy and Satan, they're just terms. They're not the specific evil one, you know. But we have so many I think there's so many things that are not them exactly that are distracting us. And I do feel like the adversary has created this maze of chaos that's very hard for us to see through. And if we get centered, it's okay. It doesn't matter. And I know there was another point I was trying to make, which I totally forgot. Oh yeah, now I remember. Isn't that weird? There, it's like the perfect example of what I'm talking about. But I jumped through rabbit holes, so it's totally me. But in that Seven of Cups, you look at Lucy or Satan, and they throw all of these distractions at you. And so the hardest thing, it's like I hear some people say, oh, well, you're limiting yourself, or that's why you don't have everything you want. And you're so negative. That's why you don't have everything you want. And I know that that's a lie too. This is guilt and shame tactics people fall for. Okay. You would not have disappointment unless you had hope and it failed you. So it was one thing I don't agree with that Paul said, hope does not disappoint. It certainly does. You cannot be negative unless you would hope for something good and it didn't come through. Something that you subconsciously or consciously were trying to manifest and it didn't happen. Okay. So what these people are saying is lies. You are not negative because you had a negative experience or because you observed the negative experience. You are just human. And when they guilt you like that, you're feeding them. They feed off of you when they say that to you. Whenever someone blames you and calls you negative, calls you this, calls you that, they're putting themselves on a pedestal and saying they're positive and you're not. And that's how they feed off of you like psychic vampires. And so, yes, it's very important to stay hopeful and positive, but for them to say that things didn't work out because of that is just a load of baloney. We're meant to go through trials and tests and suffering. There's no way around that. Period. We're meant to. And this Seven of Cups card is like is all of these options in front of you. And my biggest problem has never been limiting myself as much as seeing the limitless potential. But that in itself is something Satan, the adversary, uses to distract us, where it's very hard to make a decision. I have a Libra stellium, and anyone will know a Libra, Gemini, and Pisces all have a very hard time making a decision, especially if it's an A or a B. And so if you have a whole smorgasbord of decisions in front of you, it's really hard to decide which one to choose. The biggest problem with us right now is there's so many choices and it's so difficult to choose which path in this craziness that we have. That's why we have to stay centered. We have to go within and be present and take it one step at a time. A lot of these toxic positive prosperity gurus that promote these aliens telling us we need to do better are really distracting us from our path. They're constantly telling us like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And if you look even in the ancient days, that's exactly how the like the I don't know, the apostles or whoever spoke in the New Testament. Jesus did not. I'm sorry. He said focus on today. He said here and now. Focus on today. Worry not about tomorrow. Be prepared, but don't worry about it. Stay centered. Heaven is within already, here and now. But these apostles and these saints must have already had like entities latched onto them that was like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. It could be any moment, any moment. Oh, oh, oh. And they have us jumping through hoops, okay? These same people that preach what aliens want us to do is to hurry up and be the best people we can be and save the planet and stop war and do this. They're getting us out of our center. They're trying to, and then they blame us for it. They want to pull us out of center, get us in fight or flight, and then say we're the problem. Don't fall for it. Go back to center. Go back to indigenous cultures, the ancient ways. Invoke the ancient ones and understand here and now is all we have. The present moment, God is within us. We cannot change what was destined to happen, only our reaction to it. But it's very possible we can change things through the butterfly effect if we stay centered. Every little step we take is a new future. The future is fluid, but we have to stay centered. And we can make big changes too, but there are some things that we have no control over, and it's absolutely ridiculous to claim that we have control over those things. Anyone that thinks that they can actually manifest or control everything in the world around them is just a simulation, and everything you see in front of you is a mirror of yourself. I then am your mirror. If that's what you believe, then you manifested me right here, right now. And I dare you to move the sun back 3 days' time. Unless you're the Antichrist himself and you need to perform some, nice sign to have everyone oohing and awing, which I just had a dream about that recently, that there was like fire underwater and everyone was oohing and awing and looking at it. And some people I knew they were easily deceived were even in the water swimming. And it's like, it's so nice and warm. And I knew flat out it was the false signs trying to get people distracted. And I just went back to sipping my tea or coffee and back to working on my work and was just like eye rolling because they were all enamored with the wrong thing. Okay. So unless you can actually do some crazy sign or miracle to get people to worship you, I seriously doubt you have what it takes to make the sun move back 3 days' time. Therefore, you calling me a simulation that I'm not real and what you do doesn't affect me or hurt me, and that I'm just a mirror of you, it makes you a narcissist, okay? You are a narcissist. It's disgusting. And you need to quit being emotionally immature toddler and grow up, as Tammy and Joy says. Okay, so I think I'll probably have wrapped things up, but I do love where it ended on that point of we need to test these things. And there probably are a lot of amazing good entities out there, but by far, no means are they all. Not even close. We are in a war. We are in a spiritual war. We are in a war of the mind. And I know Michael Sandler brings this up, but he is just so obsessed with seeing too much good in the wrong places and blaming the wrong things. And you can't play that game. So I guess I'll wrap it up for here. But I really do hope that my tiny little voice, if it can move one person, one place, one thing, even if no person ever watched the show, but one spirit heard me and whispered something in someone else's ear, and we have a ripple effect to help bring about positive change the right way, maybe we can make a difference. So I love you guys and I bless you until next time.